Hello everyone, you're welcome to Doctor in the House, and I'm excited to be here with you. If you're just joining us for the first time, this is the show I like to call the consultation before the real consultation, because we get to talk about everything that concerns our health. You get to learn new stuff, you even learn how to manage whatever that you are going through, and we do all this by inviting a doctor in the house to break everything down. So today we are going to be looking at a topic that a lot of men shy away from. But before we get into that topic, I'd like to remind you that it's Diabetes Awareness Month, if you didn't know, and also it's International Men's Day. Oh, yesterday was International Men's Day. So what we're going to be talking about is something that a lot of men shy away from, because it's actually important for their overall health and their confidence. This is how diabetes affects a man's sexual and reproductive health. And to help us break it down and understand all this, and also help men not to shy away from it and also get help, is Dr. Kelvin Owusu, who's a wellness consultant at Violet's Medical Center. Doc, you are welcome.
Thank you, Chris.
It's nice to see you again. It's like saying Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, everything that we've not said this year. It's been a long time, Doc.
It's been a long while.
Doc, how are you?
Very well, very well.
All right. So anyway, if you're just joining us, or if you're watching, remember that you can actually send your questions to the number on your screen, and the doctor will get to answer it. And all these questions should be around diabetes. So because we're talking about how diabetes affects a man's reproductive and sexual health. Doc, let's get straight into it.
All right.
All right. First of all, what is diabetes?
Okay, so it's a condition where your body is unable to handle sugar, to put it simply. You know, whatever you eat, everything you eat is converted to sugar. Sugar is the fuel that your body burns to produce anything. So when you are walking, it's actually your muscles depend on the sugar that is being pumped in there as a source of energy. Now, when it gets to a point where your body is not able to push the sugar into where it's needed, and so the sugar stays in the blood, then we say you have diabetes. So there are different types of diabetes.
Yeah.
You know, there's type 1, type 2, and there's even a type 3, which is
it new?
No, it's not new. It's a subset of the type 2. So type 1 is where the body is not able to produce insulin at all because of a problem with the pancreas. And it tends to be from childhood, or at least it's usually diagnosed very early. You know, in life. It can be diagnosed a bit later, but predominantly diagnosed very early.
Right.
You know, it's an autoimmune disease, you know.
Okay, so type 1 is autoimmune.
Type 1 is mostly autoimmune.
Oh,
yes.
I get it.
And the body is not able to produce insulin at all.
Right.
You know, so then they are insulin dependent. So another name for type 1 is insulin dependent diabetes. Okay. Then there's type 2, which is the reason why we are here.
Yeah.
Because that is the lifestyle
disease.
Yes, diabetes. And it usually happens. So the pancreas is functioning. In fact, in most type 2 diabetics, the pancreas is actually overworking. But then there's something called insulin resistance, where the insulin, even though the pancreas is producing a lot of insulin.
Let me stop you there. You said the type 1 has to do with insulin still?
Yes. So diabetes has to do with insulin.
Okay, both, right.
So basically, type 1 is that your body is not producing enough insulin or no insulin at all, because the pancreas is either destroyed by autoimmune, as an autoimmune process, or it's in the process of being destroyed. You know. Then there's type 2, where the body is producing insulin, and in some cases even producing a lot of insulin. So there's a hyperinsulin state.
Yeah.
But the insulin is not being effective because of other issues. You know.
So it's hyper producing insulin, but it's not effective.
Yes. And the reason why it's hyper producing insulin is because the normal level of insulin is not able to push the sugar into where it's needed. So it's trying to produce a lot more insulin, hoping to overcome the challenge. You know, so that's why we call it insulin resistance. So there's something preventing the insulin from working. So the response of the pancreas is, let me produce more insulin so that if it can overcome that resistance, then the sugar level can come down. You know. And so that's one of the reasons why it's called lifestyle, is because obesity is one of the triggers.
So you're basically not born with it?
No, you're not born with type 2 diabetes. It develops depending on the kind of lifestyle you are living. You know, so fat is responsible for the insulin resistance. So the more fat you have, the higher the level of insulin resistance. You understand? And so that is how type 2 diabetes tends to develop.
But I also realized something. I have diabetes in my family, type 2. So yes, I know type 2 diabetes. And they usually says, if one person has it, then everybody has to be careful that it can be hereditary.
Yes, I mean, you
Why?
know, in medicine, we say common things are common. And if it runs in a family, you know, it runs in a family.
Right.
So if somebody develops, whether type 1, type 2, or even type 3 diabetes, the probability that another person in that same genetic pool will develop it is also high.
Right.
You know,
right.
so yes, if your parents, especially if it's a first degree relative, so first degree relative is a parent or a sibling.
Yeah.
So if a parent has it, your risk is very, very high.
Right, right.
But there's an environmental component as well. You know, because if, for instance, the type 2 diabetes is developed as a result of obesity, let's say the mother is obese. If the mother is obese, it probably means that she has certain habits that make her obese. The children are going to learn from those habits.
Right.
So then the children are also going to become obese. So then the children also now develop type 2 diabetes. So yes, there's a genetic component, but there's also an environmental component as well. Because there are people in families where diabetes is prevalent who, by taking good care of themselves, making sure that they stay within a certain weight limit, they have not developed the type 2 diabetes. So yes, even though there's a genetic component, there is an environment. The environmental aspect is also heavy in how the diabetes will develop eventually.
All right. So now, when we talk about fat in the body, or someone being obese, we know, there's the issue of BMI and you visibly seeing the person that I don't need to tell you that you're obese. You are obese. You don't need to tell me you are fat. You know, I'm sorry to say it like that, but you know, you can visually see it, and there is that
you can see the diabetes coming.
You can see that. See, you need to take care of yourself, and there is that of the BMI, which you can't really see, because I know someone that was diagnosed to be pre-diabetic, but there's no fat. So how does that work?
Okay, so like I said, there are several risk factors. Obesity is a major risk factor, but it's not the only risk factor.
Right.
I mean, I mentioned a genetic component as well. So it could be that this one is from genetics, you know, it runs in the family. So whether you are big, small, medium, you will develop it. So it depends on a few things.
Right.
Sometimes it could even be medication that the person is taking that has resulted in the diabetes. So we need to figure out what is going on. And that is why it's not, you can't just say that because my sister is diabetic and she's taking X medication, me too, I'll take X medication for my diabetes. No, because they are different. Everybody is different, and what is causing yours might be different from what is causing the other person. So you need to have your own customized plan. We don't share diabetes treatment. You know.
That's very nice to hear, because yeah, that's very nice to hear. No wonder some people take insulin.
Exactly.
Some people take that, and some people do this.
Some people even manage their diabetes with diet.
Yes.
But you cannot do that because maybe yours is a bit more severe than that person's own is. So I mean, you go in and have your own evaluation, and then let us know what we can do for you. Right.
All right. So let's now get into the, issue of the day.
Yes.
How does diabetes actually affect the male's, sexual health?
Okay.
In general terms.
So let me start by saying that a lot of men get it wrong. We think that sexual performance has to only do with the penis. So you see a lot of men going around looking for either something to enhance their erection, something to make them last longer. But we forget that the erection is part of the man. And so the man must be healthy to have good erection. If the man is not fit, you don't expect your body to prioritize your erection over your heart, for instance. So, yes.
So it's about priorities to your body.
Of course. Your body will protect your life first.
Before thinking of down there.
Exactly. Procreation is secondary.
Right.
You understand? So if you are not healthy as a person, you cannot expect to last long. And that's why we hear stories of men who were in the middle of the action and then they passed out, had a stroke, and then they died.
Yeah.
You understand? And
that's
so
one scary incident.
Yes,
that
yes,
I never
it
want
is.
to experience in Jesus' name. Sorry, Doc, I'm very imaginative, so what you're saying, I can imagine a lot of things. I'm like, oh, when that happens.
No, but it's true. So as a man, you need to be healthy. Yeah. Diabetes is a disease that affects every part of your body, from literally from your head to your toes.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. So if you do not treat the diabetes well, or if you don't get your blood sugar under control, the damaging effect is catastrophic.
Right.
And one of the areas that will suffer is your penis, your physical penis, and then its ability to perform its function.
All right, so would we say it's the high blood sugar levels can damage the blood vessels?
That's one way.
On the penis.
That's one way. So it damages the blood vessel through a process called atherosclerosis.
Atherosclerosis.
It's not an easy word to pronounce.
I've heard this word before. You've said it before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Atherosclerosis.
See, I can't be a doctor. I can only do this show, but I can't be a doctor.
So you need to understand that erection is basically blood that is pushed into the penis, and then something closes the pipe, and the blood stays in the penis. Ooh. You understand? So you must.
So it's just blood.
It's blood
that makes the whole thing hard.
It's just blood.
Okay.
So now the blood vessels then must be in a good condition so that they can you can adequately expand or cause the penis to
do its
erect.
Thing, yeah.
So now if the blood vessels have a challenge, and that's why atherosclerosis comes in, atherosclerosis will narrow the blood vessels. So first of all, not enough blood will even go into the penis to begin with. So that is why your erection will not be as strong or as hard, in quotes.
So if it's not as strong, do you term it to be erectile dysfunction?
Well, it's all erectile dysfunction because if your erection is supposed to be 10 and I are getting 5, it's a dysfunction. So you understand? So the atherosclerosis will limit how much blood even goes into the penis, and it also limits how fast the blood will go into the penis. So you are going to have two problems. You are going to have so the man will come and complain. I want to have sex. I mean, it's morning TV, so you have to be careful. Yeah. But I want to have sex. It takes me longer to get an erection, and when I do get the erection, it's not as hard, and so it doesn't last long. You see, so that's the series of events, and it's all because of the problem where the blood vessel has become stiff and narrowed because of atherosclerosis, which is aggravated by diabetes.
Wow.
So that's one way of doing that. The second way is that the high sugar, when the sugar gets into the blood, it's supposed to go into the muscles where it will be used to move your body around. But now the insulin is the key that opens the door for the sugar to enter. Insulin is struggling, so the blood sugar is staying in the blood. Now, there's a process of osmosis where now the sugar is forced, because the concentration has become a lot, it's forced into the skin. And once it gets into the skin, it begins to kill the nerves. You understand? And it is these nerves that would then stimulate the erection to occur. So if the nerves are dead, you cannot have an erection.
So if we look at it here,
those are the,
the causes.
The four things.
You just mentioned blood vessel factor, and now you're talking about nerves.
Yeah. You understand? So if the nerves are dead because the sugar has killed it, then you're not going to have an erection. Even if you had your partner ready for all the action, it's not going to happen because the nerves are dead. Now, the nerves dying is most of the time irreversible, so we don't want you to get to that point at all.
So now, okay, you don't want the person to get to that point at all. But now, what if this person does not even know that they have diabetes? They don't have the problem. You see, they don't have the habit of going to the hospital, but they have experienced. I used to be a 10. Now the 10 is at a 6. Should they be worried? Of
course, they should be worried. I mean, of course. Let's juxtapose this with the fact that naturally, as you grow older, your performance will decline as a function of age. I mean, when you were a child, you were running 100 meters and it wasn't a big deal. You finish the race and you can still run another 100 meters. Now you are in your 40s, 50s, 60s. You can barely do 50 meters and you'll be panting. You understand? So naturally, there's a decline as you grow older.
Okay.
So so we need to separate that from the sudden decline as a result of problem. So now, okay, so you are married, you're doing very well. Suddenly, you notice that in the past 3 months, you can't seem to get an erection. What's going on?
Okay, you can't seem to get an erection. What about in the situation that they're with, doing the do, and it comes down? That's also part of it.
It depends. So now,
I'm asking the questions that a lot of people want to ask, but they can't ask. So they're in the middle of the action.
Yes.
It was, 100%.
Now it's gone.
And just and the woman is just like
waiting. So then that comes to the psychological factors as well. You see, now a diagnosis of diabetes can be traumatizing for a man, in fact for anybody, because suddenly somebody who you saw yourself as a fit gentleman, you are in your mid 40s, mid 50s, you are just about to hit the peak of your career. Now you have diabetes. It can be earth shattering, because now you take medicine every day. So thinking about all this stress, all the pressure, all the discomfort of having to remember to take medication can present a psychological stress, which can also affect performance, because you know that sex is not just a physical act of going in and you know doing the do. It's also a psychological thing where you have to prepare yourself mentally, you know. And so if there's something causing stress, additional stress, it can disrupt your sex life.
Right.
And having said that, your body's interpretation of stress is the same regardless of the source of the stress. So whether you are broke financially,
it's still it can still affect everything.
It works through hormones, you know. Then this also that brings us to hormonal factors, you know. So these stress hormones, when you are broke, that's not when you think of having sex.
Exactly. Even women.
Exactly. And it's not just your decision that I don't want to have sex because I'm broke.
It's just the mental.
It's the mental and the hormone acting, telling you that there's something more important than sex right now. So go and find the money before you come and have the sex. So that's how your body is wired. And so this can disrupt your performance as well. So that's where all these 4 things come in.
And that's why it's important to go to the hospital.
Of course. And it's important to have checkups, because you see, diabetes, even though, unlike hypertension, which has no symptoms initially, diabetes does have some symptoms, but sometimes the symptoms are so subtle. You know, so for instance, you are waking up in the night, you urinate like 2-3 times. For a lot of people, it's kind of normal. Especially they will tell you that I drink a lot of water. So then at which point do you realize that the 3 times is now abnormal? Unless you have gone for a checkup, you may not know. But of course, if you are waking up to urinate 5-6 times a night, then it means that there's a problem. But where it's on the borderline, 3 times, it's not such a big deal. So you can be in that state of urinating 3 times a night for a long time, and all that while it was diabetes that was developing. You see, but if you are having regular checkups once every year, once every 6 months, you could pick up that something is changing. Let me start working on it. So, for instance, a diagnosis of pre-diabetes is very important, because when you are pre-diabetic, you don't need medication.
It can reverse.
I
actually have a friend that reversed that.
And
we had a whole celebration because her mom died from that.
Yes, pre-diabetes is a very, very important diagnosis, because at that point, you know that if I am able to change this and do
my diet, it
will reverse and I'll become normal. But if you wait for the diabetes itself to develop, to start proper, then we are getting into problems. We are getting into areas of complication, and we don't want to get there. But because, like I said, some of the damage is irreversible.
All right. So now let's still on the sexual health of a man. Can diabetes actually affect your sperm quality?
Of course.
Fertility.
Of course.
And ejaculation.
It can.
Hey, then God was good with my dad, though. No. I'm actually sharing this as a personal experience, because after he was diagnosed with diabetes, some kids came again. So how does it happen?
But it must have been under control, because all we are talking about is when it's not properly controlled.
Right.
Because we are talking about men, and men are already stubborn.
Very stubborn. They don't go to the hospital.
Research has shown men won't go to the hospital, and when they do go to the hospital, they won't follow through with their treatment
at all.
So
they don't finish the medication.
Exactly.
Oh, he says, okay, it's okay. I've taken 2. I feel good.
Exactly. So this is how the problems begin. So all that we are saying is that if you have diabetes and your blood sugar is poorly controlled, this is a big possibility. You could have erectile dysfunction, and it could actually affect the quality of your sperm. It's not only women that are responsible for infertility. Men, in fact, increasingly we are discovering that a lot of infertility is actually due to the man. You understand? Wow. And diabetes is one of the contributors to infertility, because the sugar is high. It gets into the semen. The sperm need a certain pH to function. If the pH is disrupted by the excess sugar in there, it can affect the quality of your sperm. You have sperms with 2 heads, 3 tails. They are useless sperm.
I know.
We just need 1 head and 1 tail, and it moves forward with purpose. If the semen is too thick, for instance, because of high concentration of sugar, the sperm cannot move. So how is it going to fertilize the egg? So diabetes, like I said,
when it's too thick, can they see that it's too thick?
It will be difficult to see. It'll be very difficult to see. And even if you saw it, how would you know? Because you don't know what normal consistency is supposed to be.
I know.
You see,
because you hear people say, "Oh, I'm very healthy."
No. It's a state of mind.
All right, Doc, we actually have a comment here. This is a very critical conversation you are having. Thank you. Doctor, I'm 60 and my manhood has shrunk and I urinate a lot. Does it mean I could be diabetic?
I mean, at 60, definitely diabetes is one of the things that I'll consider. Prostate problems is also another thing that we can consider as well because of the excessive urination. But when you see this shrinking of penis thing, it's something that is, people say a lot, but it's also difficult to prove. You see, because for a lot of men, until they feel they have a problem, they don't even pay attention to the size of their penis to begin with. But suddenly when they have a problem, yes, I mean, first of all, most men don't even know how to measure their penis. So they go around mentioning figures that they really have no clue what is going on.
Dog! They mention some things, and then when you take a tape to mention, like, and I'm like, do you know what you're talking about?
8 inches and all of that.
You do not need all that to enter one's soil. You don't need all that.
Yes.
You know, as a human being, except you are something else.
I know.
Right. So now what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say is that it's actually important for you to know your body as a human being.
Very
like how
important.
we always advise women to have a relationship with their breast and their intimate part to know what it looks like. So when there's a problem, they can actually tell.
Yeah.
So you're saying the same thing to the men.
Oh yes, I mean, it's important that as a man you know yourself as well, because for instance, I mean, women have breast cancer to deal with, men also have testicular cancer to deal with, you know, but most men have not even examined their own testes before, you know. So if there's a problem with the testes, they wouldn't know until probably it's gone on and it's causing complications, you see. And so if you know yourself, then you know when there's actually a problem. See, because if you come and you say my penis has shrunk, then the question is, how do you know? You know, what was the original and what is it now? Because if you're meeting me for the first time, it will be very difficult for me to know whether it has actually shrunk, become smaller or not, you know.
Because I don't know you.
Exactly.
I'm not your doctor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so it's important that we pay attention to our bodies, even as men.
All right. So the advice you're giving to this person that sent the message is that, yeah, you can go to the hospital.
No, he needs to go to the hospital.
All right.
Yes. And let me also chip in, since this shrinking penis came up, obesity is something that can also give you that impression, because there are a lot of
fat.
Exactly. So it can swallow the length of the penis as well. So if you have a lot of fat in your pubic area, your penis may appear smaller, even though in fact nothing, it's still the same size, but now because the fat has grown around the pubic area, the length has been swallowed up a bit. So people who sometimes complain of these things, when they lose weight, they realize that, oh, okay, so it's still as it was. So weight loss is a big part of healthy living, actually.
All right. So someone actually says that, Doc, is it true that it's only older men or older people that get diabetes?
If you had asked me this question maybe 10, 15 years ago, I'd have said yes, but now not the case. We have been getting children developing type 2 diabetes because of childhood obesity.
That's lifestyle.
You know? Yes, so it's a lifestyle disease. Right now, diabetes type 2 is a lifestyle disease. And so depending on how you're living your life, your risk of developing diabetes type 2 will catch up with you faster. You know, so if you lack of physical activity, for instance, eating a lot of junk food, these two alone contribute to most of the obesity, you know. And now a lot of processed food as well. Even at home, we are eating a lot of processed food, white flour, white sugar,
white pasta, a lot of rice,
everything
white,
and a lot of oils as well, and reusing oil, you know. Reusing oil. Some of us are using oil, the same oil 5, 6, 10 times, you know, and those of us who buy food out from outside, you know, the oil has not been changed in the past 1 month. They just top up. You know, it's like the way the taxi drivers do their oil change. They just go and when the levels drop, they top up. So the oil has not been changed. It's the same oil. They just pour a little bit inside and then, you know, make up the volume. So they'll be using that same oil to fry the plantain, to fry the fish, to fry whatever. And then we go and buy these things. So all this is contributing to the bad health effects or the bad health that we are experiencing today.
All right. So Doc, before I let you go, what advice would you give to any man right now when it comes to diabetes, especially people who do not know that I could be pre-diabetic, I could be actually having diabetes. So what's the advice you would give them?
Well, the first thing is regular checkup. At least once a year, you should go for a checkup. I mean, ideally twice a year, but at least once a year, go for a checkup. And that checkup should include a blood sugar evaluation. Then if you are diabetic, you need to take your medication. You understand? At the point where you are diagnosed as diabetic, that's not when you go and do the lifestyle changes. You need to start the medication and the lifestyle changes simultaneously.
Yeah.
If you are pre-diabetic, however, then lifestyle changes first. If the diabetes progresses, then we put your medication. If it reverses, hey,
Great.
that's it, you know. And let's also pay attention to our diet as men, our regular diet. Even if you are not diabetic, we need to pay attention to what we are actually eating. A lot of the time, we leave this to the responsibility of our feeding to other people. You know, it could be your wife, it could be the cook, it could be the workplace. You know, but we need to pay attention because whatever you are taking in other, we are what we eat. So if you are not eating healthy food, it will reflect in your body. And ultimately, if you do develop a problem with your performance, I'm talking about your sexual performance, don't just focus on the performance and go and find medicine or solution to your performance. Herbal medicine, waste and power, all those things will end you up with more complications.
More alcohol.
More alcohol. In fact, alcohol itself will decrease your performance. People, when they say this, people think it's not true, and because when they take alcohol, then they perform better. It's actually not true. It's been research proving that alcohol will decrease your performance. So if you're already struggling with performance and you go and take alcohol, you are in trouble. And one other thing I didn't add, smoking by itself will also cause atherosclerosis. So if you are diabetic and you're also smoking, your risk of erectile problems is much, much, much higher. So please, naturally or generally, men who are diabetic will have a much earlier onset of sexual decline. So let's pay attention and try and prevent that as much as possible by following our regular health routine.
All right,
very
Doc,
important.
What's the tip of the week?
Well, your poor performance in bed may just be due to your poor blood sugar control.
Whew, preach. Doc, where can we find you?
So I'm actually quite active on social media, Kelvin Owusu MD, or you can also find our clinic page as well, Violence Medical Center.
Right. And ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. It's time for you to visit a hospital today. If you haven't visited your hospital, or if you don't even know your status when it comes to your blood sugar level, walk into a hospital and then check yourself. Now, this has been Doctor in the House, and the Doctor in the House has been Dr. Kelvin Owusu, who's a wellness consultant at Violet Medical Center, and my name is Chris Carter. See you next week, same time. Bye.